How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting, and welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday, where, last week was intense. We had, Yuuya had his first encounter with the beta. He kind of got a cheat code, aka called being in the back line and having, the super death ray gun of a railgun, not ray gun. It looked like a ray gun, but I can't talk today. Railgun looking like a ray gun, firing blasts that are so powerful they just look like streaks of light and just kind of liquefied everything in front of him. It was fantastic. It was great. So yeah, we're gonna see how that all falls out. There were some odd things going on there politically. It looked like Russia was just trying to maneuver. They wanted the UN to fail this test. They wanted to try and supersede. And I still think that they wanted to. They were hoping that in the chaos and the overrunning, they might actually get a chance to snag the technology in a way that they could try and obscure. There's so much political intrigue that was going on there, but then everything kind of got put aside when they saw just how powerful it was, because no matter how politically charged you are, no matter how far on the back line you are, seeing beta fall to such a weapon where one TSF was able to pretty much just obliterate an entire assault force of beta by themselves. Who wouldn't be ecstatic? Who wouldn't be super stoked? It'd be like, I don't care how jaded you are, seeing thousands of your fellow soldiers dying on the battlefield, even knowing people who've died on the battlefield, and even if you didn't fight on it yourself, you see that, you'd be ecstatic. People are going to be doing cartwheels in the streets today. It's going to be amazing. But there's a catch to it now. Everyone's going to want one. And what? Can the UN and Japan just not share the technology? The thing is, they don't actually have the technology. Remember, the key component to it is the black box, which is something the Yuko sensei has, and she exclusively has the understanding of how it works. They don't even know. They might have an inkling of what's involved, the G matter that she constantly is hoarding to herself, to make all of her other projects, and it's likely a part of that. But they can't even open the box. If I remember correctly, you in order to kind of keep her grip on the technology, because you can't just trademark stuff. Sorry, I got something in my eye. You can't trademark stuff. So what does she do? She builds in self-destruction modes where if someone tries to take the box apart to figure out how it works, it just collapses in on itself and breaks itself, potentially even exploding. We know how explosive that stuff can be, so that's risky. But yeah, so now the unfortunate downside is that they have a successful test. Japan's gonna be put under a lot of international pressure now. But part of the problem is while Japan will get kind of smothered politically by that, Yuko sensei gets elevated and gets more funding, more resources, and more time for Alternative 4. So in the end, it works out. But we're gonna see how this affects Yuuya and the rest of the crew. But yeah, let's just jump into it. Let's see how it goes. All right, they're back.
Oh,
Burden of Command is episode 5.
Yuuya! Yuuya! Oi! Yuuya!
There they are.
やったな、お前！生き残っただけじゃねえぞ！圧倒的だぞ！お前も、94セカンドも最高だぜ！あのレールガンもな、アルゴス万々歳だ！ちくしょう！あいつ、やりやがった！やりやがったぜ！
I'm glad he's so excited, but he can't hear you. Here we are. I did it. Granted, again, you had a cheat code, but I'm still proud of you. I made it back to the world of man. I survived. And my experience actual combat. Lived through the 8 minutes of death, brought it back the Shiranui second without so much of a scratch. I did it. Vincent was jumping up and down with joy. He wasn't the only one. Guess everyone was worried about me, huh? But the sensation, the feeling of oneness with the TSF I experienced when I fought against Lieutenant Takamura didn't manifest itself again. The real purpose wasn't just to survive, but to make that feeling my own. Was that asking far too much? Dead man could neither complain nor try again. Well, I think part of it too is it was the realization that death was not just approaching, but in your face. That you were under imminent threat, and you had to give, and it was only you and the TSF that could preserve yourselves, right? When using the railgun, you just kind of pointed and burr, there's not really a oneness that you need with that. I mean, I'm sure you could do it and be very powerful and effective with it, but like, it's not the same.
ぼーっとしてんじゃないわよ。さっさとハンガーへ引っ込みな。
Oh.
早くどけ。邪魔なんだよ。それともなんだ。俺らに避けろってことか。あ？
もう英雄気取り？勘弁してよ。
Naturally. Yeah, he literally just invalidates all their work. They're still not going to be nice about it.
あんたは突っ立ってトリガー引いただけなんだよ。
これが実践だなんて思ったら大間違いだぜ僕ちゃんよ。
あのキャノンなしでやってみろよ。話はそれからだ。腰抜けやろう。
Yeah, okay.
ストビオールテイコントロールよりアルゴス1、3番タクシーウェイへの侵入を許可する。第4ハンガーにて洗浄作業にかかれ。繰り返す。
Yeah, makes sense. They still wouldn't accept him. There she is, that beautiful, beautiful railgun. Thanks to this thing, I survived the 8 minutes of death with little trouble, but also with a little satisfaction to show for my efforts. God, with all my years, I've never seen a weapon blow expectations out of the water like that, quite like that. Base Command Barakin and the other big shots must have had a hard time picking their jaws up off the floor. Before the debriefing was over, they barged into the room hoisting me on their shoulders, the full hero treatment. Owing to the heroic services of Argus test flight, which supposedly saved the lives of countless Soviet soldiers, my performance on the battlefield earned me a Gold Star Medal of the Hero of the Soviet Union. Fetch me. Okay, again, I understand, like, that was cool, and he did save lives, but they gave him a medal? The base commander even embraced me to show his respect following the speech. I could have done without the kisses, though. Once the show was over and done with, everybody but the guys on standby gathered in the mess hall to hold a celebration party. This was an appropriate occasion to break out our good vodka. The liquor flowed like water, 100% proof water. Impressive how even the commie midgets can drink a grown man under the table. Not being much of a party guy myself, soon I was fed up with a bunch of drunks and snuck out for some peace and quiet, which brings us to the present. We're no heroes, that much is clear. The real hero of this story is someone else, and I'm looking at it. That aside...
こんなところで何やってんだ?
Sure. Of course we couldn't go far without you. Hey, Vincent. Oh, and the lieutenant.
やっぱりここか。主役がいなきゃ始まらねえだろ。同志英雄好き?
Shut up, you stupid idiot. You know I don't like the ceremonies.
まあわからんでもないが。勲章もらっちまったんだ。愛想笑いも義務だぜ、義務。
Ain't happening.
軍曹の言う通りだ。戻るのが礼儀だぞ。
Why are you singling me out? Stella vanished first chance she got.
なんだ。残ってるのはお騒がせコンビだけか？何も起きなきゃいいけどな。
The commander's still there too. Nothing's gonna happen. Fingers crossed.
それにしたって、初陣でキルスコア3000オーバーの英雄がいないんじゃ話にならんだろう。あちらさんもさ。
I don't know. Those guys look plenty happy to me. Ain't often they can chug down booze like it's nobody's business.
だったら、貴様も純粋に楽しめばいい。明日は試験もないしな。
I can say the same for you, Lieutenant. Follow your own advice. Go back there and have fun.
いや、私はあの場にいるべきではない。今日の戦果は貴様たちの手柄だ。
Highly disagree. It's the gun, and the gun was definitely more you than me. That's not true, and we both know it. This bad boy here deserves all the credit, not me.
もう英雄気取り？勘弁してよ。あんたは突っ立ってトリガー引いただけなんだよ。
これが実践だなんて思ったら大間違いだぜ僕ちゃんよ。
あのキャノンなしでやってみろよ。話はそれからだ、腰抜け野郎。
I just decided when to pull the trigger. Any idiot with 2 brain cells to rub together could have done as much. And you're the reason we're even field testing this baby, Lieutenant. So there you have it. Since you brought the Type 99 to the Soviet Union, that medal should be hanging around your neck. I can't even begin to guess what happened behind the scenes. If the Japanese side had wanted to avoid handing out classified info to the Soviets like candy, this thing could have been tested in the Japanese front instead, together with the Shiranui second. But fact is, she decided to take out the railgun for a spin in Russian territory, saving a lot of lives in the process.
救急型砲の搬入はこちらの思惑と都合で行ったに過ぎない。直には値しない。それに、あの砲撃は貴様しか成し得なかった。
See, I don't know about that. Is it like? I guess we don't know exactly how this railgun works, but if we're going from a basic physics perspective, assuming it's grounded in the knowledge of how a theoretical, well, not even theoretical, we've made railguns nowadays, but the problem with railguns is that the energy capacitation needed to make it work is extremely high, and thus requires either like massive generators or a battery pack that's so big it's just impractical. But we've made it work. Like, we know you can do this. So the black box, essentially, the G matter shortcuts all of that. It provides like the near limitless energy that you need, and it also is light compared to like what you would normally need otherwise. And it also, with the anti-gravitational effects of the G matter, that can't be anything but helpful. So what if you take all that, what's the equation of a railgun? Well, a railgun uses electromagnetic fields, magnet fields, and a like pretty much almost light, fast, like a distribution system to take a piece of magnetized metal, kind of trap it in a strong magnetic field, and then ripple that magnetic field at near the speed of light, carrying that piece of metal along with it inside that pole of the rapidly changing and accelerating like electromagnetic fields. It's essentially the same technology we use for like large particle colliders, like the Hadron Collider in CERN. It's like that principle, but instead where CERN is focusing on attaining like pretty much near light speeds, like they focus on speed for very small particles. You're talking about like supersonic speeds, which, I mean, very fast, but compared to the speed of light, not fast at all. But supersonic speeds for pieces of metal, that's a bit different. So it has that ability to throw it out there, right? But that's the idea, is that when you do that, you don't experience the same amount of kickback that you would normally expect from a firearm. A firearm, you like have the hammer fall, it hits the detonation charge behind the piece of metal, the detonation charge fires, it shoots it down the barrel, and you like the gun kind of receives the kickback. Railgun will operate in a very similar way, but the thing is that the kickback force is absorbed by the electromagnetic fields. So essentially, it's an energy output. Like the energy is conducted through like distance forces. So the person holding a railgun will experience very little kick, like physical, like kickback, feedback. The little that would be there isn't actually with anything to do with like the acceleration of the like bolt. It would only be the actual mass of the bolt leaving the gun, because as soon as it does, the weight changes, and so you would have a little bit of adjustment. But that's the thing, is like instead of it getting like more difficult and more like forceful, it would get lighter, and it would be like it'd be harder to hold it steady for the opposite reason. Which is really interesting. That's part of what makes railguns so fascinating, is the fact that you don't need a propellant, because the propellant is pure electricity and electromagnetic forces. So, yeah, if I understand railguns properly and the physics behind them, then firing a railgun like this, despite the fact that it's throwing out pieces of metal at like supersonic speeds and thousands of rounds a second, it wouldn't feel like you're holding a machine gun. It would almost just feel like a laser gun. Like if you've ever played laser tag or paintball, like the kick you experience from those is fairly minimal, and that's what it would feel like. But it would have the destructive force of like several magnitudes higher than a normal gun. So she's saying you're the only one capable of executing that shot. I would have to disagree. It's this is one of those rare instances where the reality is a bit more like a video game than anything else, because the kickbacks would not be as severe. Now, the question is that the gun itself is so big it requires stabilization to the TSF, and I think that the stabilization isn't, again, not so much for the kicking that you would experience, but more so for just the stabilization, because it'd be really easy to have that gun start going haywire. If you had something happen to you, or if something surprised the pilot, you could accidentally spin around and then just obliterate your allies. So I think the stabilization is more for safety purposes rather than actual, like, oh, we need to keep the gun on point. Huh?
あのタイミングでの的確な標的選択。貴様の腕や経験があってこそ、救急型は望みうる最大の戦果を挙げた。私はそう確信している。
I guess okay, there's a point. Some people could panic and might have just shot and killed all the TSFs at the same time, you know, like not waited for them to pull out.
不慣れなことはするな。謙遜など、貴様らしくもない。
Eat your own words, lady. You also are terrible. Modesty does not suit you either. Only a short while ago, those same words coming out of her mouth would have been dripping with sarcasm. But as I hear them today, it's easy to believe she means it as a compliment. I don't know how to say this. Deep inside of me, I'm hesitating to use the term for her, but this must be what it feels like to have a war buddy. Somewhere along the way, I started to respect Lieutenant Takamura. After everything that's happened, it's obvious to anyone who's paying attention. The only one still denying it is me. Lieutenant?
何か?
And since I can trust her now, I shouldn't keep this to myself any longer. Next time, let's leave the railgun at the base. Yeah, way to ruin the mood.
おいおい、いきなり何を言い出すんだ？試験スケジュールはそんな。
I know, that's what I'm asking.
お前さ、テストの順序や準備がどれだけの手間と時間をかけて段取られているか知らねえわけじゃねえだろ？
Sure do.
こいつのテストが急に決まったって言っても、アラスカ出る前から準備が始まってんだぞ。しかも、おいそれとスケジュール変更できるような軽い扱いの装備じゃないってのは、お前が証明したばっかじゃねえか。
I understand he doesn't want to be seen as like a lesser pilot, but at the same time, like, dude, the only reason you're not still in Alaska is to be part of these tests. Like, just accept the fact that people aren't going to accept you as a pilot because you're going to be on your cheat code, and just test the darn thing. Again, I'm asking you to postpone the test on the railgun. I'm not saying we shouldn't run them at all. Off the top of my head, we could move the close quarters combat test forward a period. That'd work, right?
お前、何そんなに焦ってんだよ。遠征期間はあと2週間以上あるじゃねえか。
We've already wasted 10 days. What's the plan if there are no more beta attacks in the next 2 weeks?
そん時は仕方ねえだろ。だから重要な試験から片付けてるんじゃねえか。
Oh, come on, man. The most important thing is improving the Type 94 seconds performance in close quarters combat. What if our luck sucks and the beta don't come anymore?
お前正気か?
Yeah, I know, right? This is a prime example of someone who has not been on the battlefield. What was that?
本気でベータが来ればいいなんて思ってんのかよ。この国の連中や周囲の前でよくそんなことが言えるな。あ?
Vincent's absolutely right. Like, I was like starting to raise my eyebrows. I was like, what are you talking about?
正体の連中だってベータに国を滅ぼされてんだぞ。あいつらの前でも同じこと言えんのかよ。
少尉。
I came to face with my own limits when I fought against your Type 00. And just when I thought I couldn't go any further, started to feel the sense of synergy with the machine. It was a hazy sensation at best, but that much was enough to tell mastering it would take me to the next level as a surface pilot. So once the battle was over, I studied Japanese-style piloting and tactics intently, threw myself at my work, dead set on making that sensation my own. Try as I might, though, I couldn't replicate it. Anybody's guess if I'll be able to in future tests. But the fight where my life's at stake, where it's either me or the beta, no holds barred, well, that could work. Again, Yuuya, like, I understand, like, I get it, but at the same time, you do know how ridiculous you sound, right? Like, it's not even like oh, I just need to prove myself. Put me in, coach. It's like, do you want to die? Like, why play with fate? Sure, yeah, those other kids were mocking you and telling you that you're a wuss for hiding behind a giant railgun, but you know what? give any of them that opportunity to be behind that railgun, they would jump on it in a heartbeat. Screw them and screw their, like, I don't know, respect. Do your job. And don't look forward to beta attacks. If anything, look forward to preventing deaths with beta attacks. You should be so excited to go out there with a railgun. You should be thrilled to be able to show that you could be a one-man army because of what that does for people's morale and what that does for the war effort. Like, yeah, you got some salty little kids who are determined to hate you. Because you know what? I guarantee you, even if you fought toe-to-toe with beta and survived, they would likely just kind of give you a, well, maybe you live this time, and next time you certainly won't with those skills. Like, they're never going to accept you, buddy. You're going to have enemies. You're going to have people that hate you. The fact that you're so obsessed with trying to make sure that you are, like, I don't know, legitimized is going to get you killed. Like, you've got to, like, this is, she's angry. I'm angry, too. Like, at first I was kind of, like, bewildered, but, like, as, like, Vincent pointed out, like, I was kind of coming to the same conclusions, and I agree. Like, this is the response of somebody who hasn't seen combat and still has this almost, like, it sounds weird, but it is like this romanticized view of war. It's something I've seen a lot, like, growing up in school and, like, going to college. Like, there were people who were really excited about joining things like the military or the police force. I knew a guy who was super stoked about joining the police when he was done with this, like, summer job that we were doing. But here's the thing, he wasn't excited about, like, protecting people. He wasn't excited about, like, trying to, like, make the world a safer place. He would always talk about, like, being able to carry a gun around, being able to take out the bad guys, being able to drive really fast on the freeway without getting in trouble, like being an exception to the law. And I remember that rubbing me the wrong way so badly because of this exact same problem. This idea that, like, you have this self-aggrandized, like, idea of what the hero looks like, of what comes and what privileges and respect and authority come with just being considered to be, good at your job and having that authority and power. But, like, you don't understand. Like, first of all, like, there are a lot of people who make sacrifices and die trying to do that job. There are people who have to face down, like, beratement and constant stress and almost get nothing for it in return. And you want to glorify that? You want to talk about, like, tracking down, like, a serial killer or a school shooter or like a cop killer and, like, bringing him down and, like, bringing him to justice and gunning the bad guys down. It's like, you think that's glorified? You think that's a cool thing to do? You think that there's something to be happy about with that? Like, no. These are things that you do because there's no other choice. These are things that you do because people are going to die if you don't. These are things that you do knowing that you are likely to be the next one to die if you aren't very, 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 very careful. And so he's kind of got this attitude, this, oh gosh, what is it? It's like hubris to the 10th degree. I keep wanting to say Oedipus complex, but that's not what this is. Oedipus is a whole different thing. But it's this, it's really, it's such a good example of how it's such a good scope of just how little experience he has on actual combat. This was the first actual combat he had, and yet he still doesn't get it because he didn't have to get it. I don't know, man. Like, I'm angry too.
少尉。
あんたたち日本人が兵士の命をどう思っているかは知らないが、俺は自分がテストした戦術機の性能のせいで兵士を無駄死にさせることは絶対に我慢ならない。それが俺たちテストパイロットのプライドだ。
そういうことだ。
Please, I need this.
Yuuya.
He's bowing. Unless we do something drastic, the Shiranui second was never going to reach its full potential. But if you will allow me, I'll deliver a Shiranui second that can go blow for blow with your Takamakazuchi. That's a bold claim! And next time we fight, you can bet your butt I'm going to come out on top. I need this. Please give me a chance.
父様、私はどうすれば。まさか 少尉が頭を下げるなんて。
Alright, Takamura, I understand. Come on. Don't let your heart win this. There's some pretty heavy logic against what he's asking for.
私はあまりにもひどい思い違いをしていた。私の目は節穴だった。ユーヤ・ブリッジスは真のテストパイロットだったのだ。少なくともこと戦術機開発においては、個人の心情よりも戦術機としての性能を高めるために命を懸ける。その思いは私が思うよりもはるかに強い。彼の根底に根ざしたものだった。まして XFJ 計画はテストパイロットの矜持とやらを充足させるためにあるのではないし、もちろん貴様個人を満足させるためのものでもない。それを私はあんな風に捉えることしかできず、この男が不器用なのは嫌というほど知っていたはずなのに、反抗的態度の陰で密かに燃える情熱に気づけなかった。
Okay, sure, but still.
踏み込んだつもりでいて、その実、表面的な変化を受け入れ認めるだけで思考停止してしまっていた。
Don't do it though. Like, come on, it's such a small. I don't know.
彼は今、矛盾を抱えて悩んでいる。少尉は、あれほどまでに日本的な運用思想を嫌悪していた。そんな彼に私は、それに対する恭順を強く求め、反する言動は厳しく叱責していた。そうした激しい衝突を繰り返した結果、今では彼は知らぬ2型の開発に並々ならぬ情熱を注ぐようにもなり、持ち前の才能は計画遂行に大きく貢献するようになった。
Now it's interesting. So she has regret of like not perceiving his passion for development, but at the same time, he only has this true passion because she showed him like how much he had to learn and the value of the principles that he was dismissing. Because he talked about how like he fought against with her, he had a moment of clarity, and since then he's been like doggedly pursuing the tactics, styles, and like training regiments of Japanese pilots, diffused with his own knowledge of American pilots in order to make the Shiranui Second actually work. And that never would have happened if she hadn't put her foot down like this. Like, sure, she maybe could have done it a little bit better, but I don't think she really did anything wrong. If anything, she, by being resolute against his obstinate, like, opinion, she kind of forced him to eat his own words.
にもかかわらず、理由はどうあれ、当の私が結果的に彼をそこから遠ざけてしまったのだ。矛盾を植え付けたのは他ならぬ私自身。
I don't agree. I think she's done the things pretty much spot on. Her motivations may not have been properly attuned to what she needed to do, but I think like she did what she needed to, and she did it well.
本当に私は未熟者だ。私は XFJ 計画の成就を目指す立場として、それを止める権利など一かけらも見当たらない。しかし私は彼に生き延びてほしい。それは利己的な動機なのか、それは XFJ 計画を預かる者として大義ある思いとは言えないのか。
Man, it's kind of playing her cards too. Like I was talking about how his lack of experience was kind of like romanticized fighting the beta, and that viewpoint's dangerous, reckless, and just disrespectful. She actually kind of has the same problem. Her lack of experience in command, I think, is romanticized what being a commander is all about. I think there's like she should probably recognize that her desire to have him survive is normal, perhaps even skewed more in, you know, she might want him to survive more than other people, and maybe she's just not willing to acknowledge that yet. But like, I definitely think there's something there. But even putting that aside, does she have the steel that would take to actually order her subordinates to go to their deaths? Like, she pulled a lot of strings to get this railgun here, specifically because, like, sure, it could have been tested, and it would have been better to test it in Japan. She pulled strings, called in favors, and probably put herself indebted to other people to get this thing in his hands because she did not want anyone to die in her program. Now, yeah, there's a lot of value in your pilots, but at the same time, you also are a commander in a war in the military. And as much as it sucks, part of being in command is understanding that you sometimes have to order your top people, the people you care the most about, who deserve to be as protected as possible, into situations where they're going to have to probably die. You know, like, sometime it's going to happen, and you have to be okay with that. She is not. She is not. She went so far out of her way to try and give them the best edge they could possibly have, so they could stay as far away from the front as possible, but still be able to meet the mission parameters. That says a lot about where her priorities are as a commander, which is cool, but it's not appropriate for active war times. Again, she's in development though, so it kind of makes more sense. But this is a development team that gets put on the battlefield. She's got to have that reconciliation at some point. Because she seems far more likely to throw herself on the battlefield to die before she'd be willing to order anybody else to perform on the battlefield and potentially die. And whilst that's admirable as a character, for a character as an individual, it is detrimental to command. It's actually something we saw in The Day After with, Ogami? Was that her name? The red-haired girl, I thought she was, who was like one of my favorite characters. Yeah, I think it was Ogami. She was a command of her squad, but instead of trusting in the squad as a whole and risking all of their lives equally, she blasted forward and took the brunt of all the attacks, literally nearly killing herself, because she couldn't bear the thought of her companions dying. And that was her flaw. It was a great, commendable position to have, and it's a wonderful attitude to have that you'd be willing to die for your fellows. But when it comes to a battlefield where every person counts and every role is important and every loss can be like the difference between victory and defeat for the whole army, you can't allow those types of attitudes to prevail when what's more important is being able to trust each other. Because that's the thing, is if Lieutenant Takamura, by giving him the railgun, sure, she ensured survival and like saved a lot of lives, but she also isn't showing trust in her team's capabilities. So maybe they should go out there without the railgun. Oh my gosh, I've just talked myself round into a circle. There's no good answer here.
答えなど返ってくるはずもない。いや、自らに問いかけている時点で、
I talked a lot.
すでに答えは
I'm
己の内にあるのだ。
I'm just ranting.
少尉、貴様の熱意は十分理解した。
それじゃあ。
だが、率直に言って試験スケジュールの変更は困難だ。ただし、メインテストパイロットの進言である以上、検討はする。
There you go.
本当か？
あくまで検討だ。スケジュール変更に関しては何の確約もできない。
わかってる。今はそれで十分だ。
ローウェル軍曹、残り項目の確認と救急型砲専用ハンガーへの移送を任せる。
了解です。
あとは頼む。
So sorry about before, but
わかってるって。でもお前ほんと気をつけろよ、ああいうの。デリカシー以前の問題だぜ。
I feel like Vincent's my spirit animal. Like, it's almost like he's like who I would be in this universe, except not nearly as handsome or chiseled. I'll do my best, honest. I didn't mean to blurt out something so tone deaf. It just happened. And I really am in no position to judge these little turds.
でもまあ、とりあえずよかったじゃねえか。検討はしてくれるんだから。
Yeah, from a commander, someone saying like with all like with full like meaning, I will consider it and do what I can. That's as good as you can expect, because she can't just make lateral decisions. It has to be coordinated with so many different teams. Like, she's essentially promised she's gonna try, because she can't promise anything more, I guess.
それにしても見直したぜ。
Consider what?
ゆい姫にあそこまで腹割るなんて、お前一皮むけたな。
Oh yeah. I've never been that bad.
ああ、これも実戦経験の賜物ってやつか？一番欲しかったもんは無理だったみたいだけど、意外といろんなものが手に入ってるんじゃねえの？
Didn't come back empty-handed, huh? Yeah, could be. August 14th, 12th day in Kamchatka. TSF runway. God, they don't give me time to look at that. Teamwork drills, huh? That should warm me up there. My reward for pulling the trigger was a 36-hour-long standby on base, but it's impossible to relax in this depressing place. There's nothing remotely resembling an entertainment district, and wherever I go, everyone calls me a hero, mocks me to my face. Solitary confinement would be an improvement. Huh. Now that brings back memories. I know all about solitary confinement thanks to a certain someone. Vriska.
貴様たちの薄汚い地で、偉大なる祖国の大地を汚されたくないからな。
Man, she was acting really weird. Wonder what's going on with her. No one would dream of calling Kriska a social butterfly, but she's the type to put both of Motherland and Enya before herself. But she's far from a blank slate. I caught a tiny glimpse of her real self before, enough for me to tell. Kriska's like a drawn blade even at the best of times, but she has an ice in her veins, not venom.
何を言っている？私たちがトラブルに巻き込まれていたとでも言うのか？
いや、違うならいいんだ。俺はてっきり、また前みたいに。
前？何の言いがかりだ？貴様、何を企んでいる？
Kriska must have been ordered by her superiors to act dumb, forcing her to play nice with her fellow Soviets, and if anything happens, a foreigner like me makes for a handy scapegoat. Which is a logical enough explanation, but I can't buy it. There's no way she could pick up an act without me seeing through it. It was more like, I don't know, she has amnesia or something. Not like she was the only one acting weird either. Enya's an innocent little girl, and part of her charm is that she can't read the room sometimes, but come on, a smile plastered all over her face while Kriska and I were in the middle of a heated argument? It's a good thing she's so pure, don't get me wrong, but a little bit of awareness goes a long way. Whatever, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. I've always been told I'm kind of dense, guess that's part of the reason why I can't help but worry about those two.
さすが、随分と余裕があるな。
Oh boy.
それが英雄の部というわけか。
Lieutenant Colonel Latrova? When did she sneak up on me? You have business with me, Lieutenant Colonel?
いや、特に用があったわけではないが。英雄殿に一言礼を言おうと思ってな。
You're here to thank me?
ああ。貴様のおかげで、上物のボトカをたんまり飲めたからな。そのお礼をしにな。
Please stop joking around. You're a lieutenant colonel. Just raid the liquor cabinet. Someone could tell you crap.
残念だがここは最前線でな、英雄殿。盛ん程度ではどうにもならんよ。
Hero. Not that effing word again. So the rumors are true. Russian military hardware does run on vodka.
もう限界か。
What's that supposed to mean, Lieutenant Colonel?
そのこらえ性のなさが貴様の限界であり、感情的なところが命取りになる。そういう意味だ。
Fair, but at the same time, it's not like you weren't purposely stoking it. What?
度胸はある。思い切りがいいのは認めよう。だが、その未成熟な精神が対局を見る目を曇らせている。
Got the bull crap right. Yuuya, do you not? It's like he doesn't listen. I mean, that's kind of his character at this point. He's just a brick wall. But come on, dude, really?
ほう、そっちか。まあいい。
She's actually trying to do you a favor. It's a weird roundabout, kind of stupid way to do it, but she was coming here to kind of build a bridge, and you're burning it already.
その手合いは結局戦えない。いや、自分自身の戦いはできない。無駄な死を積み上げたくないなら、己の部は重々わきまえることだ。英雄殿。もっとも、真っ先に積むのが己の命であれば、まだマシな部類だがな。
I mean, here's the thing, like, she's being cruel, but she's kind of got a point. It's kind of what I was saying, too. Huh. What an effing killer to get off her high horse. I don't know, dude. You're pretty high on yours, too. Lieutenant Colonel.
なんだ英雄殿。礼ならもう済んだぞ。
Kind of like this standoff, like this framing's really well done. Not something you see very often with like the superimpose, back impose, especially with like the protagonist being in the background and the the side character being in the foreground. That's something you don't see very often. Cut out with the hero crap, will you? I know I'm not a hero. Nothing of what happened yesterday was on me, and I don't know better than anyone. That's why I'm trying to stand on my own 2 feet. Yes, I can see the big picture. Heard you loud and clear. Guess what? I agree with you there. But what makes you think you're any better? Someone who can see the big picture wouldn't have given me the chance to earn a gosh darn medal. I don't want to see her pointing any fingers when her battalion didn't do crap to help out the armored forces during the time they almost got flanked by the beta. And besides, what does it matter to you so you can see the big picture? When push comes to shove, you're powerless to do anything about it. Go, my gosh, Yuuya. Why? First of all, it's really rich coming from you knowing that you know very little about what's actually going on here or what they have to deal with on a daily basis. It really doesn't seem like he's tried to put himself in their shoes at all. I get why. I don't think most people do that. Something I get kind of like flabbergasted at how little people put themselves in other people's shoes. Like, I've always done that, and it makes me very like amenable, and I'm really good at playing devil's advocate because I can usually go from a person's perspective and kind of see things. She's the kind of person, like I said last time, she can't afford to just always stand up and do the things that she wants to do. She has to pick her battles. She only has so much energy and so much goodwill that she can have with her subordinates and with her superiors. So she has to be very picky about what she pushes. Yuuya pushes everything, and it causes a lot of problems. So, and now he's claiming that, oh, you're powerless. You see the big picture and you just don't do anything. He does not understand her chain of command or how it works. It's sad because it feels like he's trying to be like, well, you know what, you know, like kind of like, I gotta come back here too. I see things plenty. It's like, it kind of, if anything though, he's showing his ignorance.
何も違わんさ。
Well, looks like I hit the bullseye.
それが命令であり、そのために全てを拾うことができないなら、何かを捨てるまでだ。
A little scary that she actually used the exact same phrase like I did. What? Is he okay with the amount of armored forces getting slaughtered? How the F is that seeing the big picture? She doesn't have a choice! Do you know how many more people would die if they didn't follow orders?
貴様は、何のために戦っているんだ？
There's the question. What?
他人の出来不出来ではない。重要なのは、貴様自身ができるか否かだろう。それが自身の戦いというものだよ、坊や。
She's got a point. Like, she's got a really good point there. Like, if you actually were focused on your fighting your own battles, you wouldn't care what other people say. You wouldn't let it get under your skin. You would just fight. You don't have to justify yourself if you're fighting for something you believe in. You've got the talent. Why do you always feel like you have to prove yourself? Why don't you just prove yourself?
一つ教えてやる。できない理由を外に見つけて納得させられるのは自分の心だけだ。他人は絶対納得しない。
Again, fetch me. Colonel Latrova, like, you are an ice cold queen, but I think that I'm 100% on your side here. Not this crap again.
もし他人も納得しているように見えているなら、それはそいつらが貴様を甘やかしている証拠だ。そんな連中は害にしかならない。即座に関係を断て。
I don't think like it should have to go that far, but she kind of also has a point here. Her superior, and the trouble too is the nepotism kind of goes up the chain because Yui's got her own mixed feelings about Yuuya, which makes her want to go above and beyond to protect him in a way that is coddling him. And that's, like, it sucks because you don't want him to be put into a dangerous situation and watch him die. But at the same time, it doesn't help him at all.
ベータは貴様を甘やかしちゃくれないぞ。
No, they're like a force of nature.
どうだ？少しは勉強になったか？
Like that sarcasm, shove it up your butt. Speaking of riddles and avoiding answering the questions, treating me like a gosh darn kid all the while? Yeah, F you, lady. I don't know, dude. She's got a lot of points here, and I don't think she was actually she's not talking in riddles. She's talking facts, but it just shows how inexperienced you are that you don't see that. You treat my people as if they were lower than garbage. You treat me like I'm simply playing around at being a soldier. And you know what? I'm busting my butt to improve from this experience. Screw you. I didn't come all this way for Russia to...
知らんよ、そんなことは。興味ない。
Yeah, and she's like, he's just like, screw you. She's like, I don't care. Like, that's the lesson she's even tried to tell him. She's just like, why do you care? Don't think about it. Just do your job and do it well. Keep yourself and your people alive without destroying the whole purpose of fighting in the war.
頼むから私にまで甘えるな。部をわきまえろ。
Alright, I get it.
ほう。それは結構。
You get it. Yuuya doesn't get it. I understand your way of thinking now, Lieutenant Colonel. You're the kind of woman who would send friendlies to their deaths without them even twitching. That's why the rest of your unit is a bunch of savage little turds, huh? He didn't listen! Why? You suck! I like you, Yuuya. Come on, but just seriously, it's like you're not even paying attention to any of it. She literally broke her own command because she wanted to save her people. She risked being executed summarily by her commanding leaders if it had gone sideways in the slightest, because she openly defied the orders that were given from the higher-ups because they wanted to make a large-scale political maneuver at the cost of their own soldiers whom they see as trash. When you're constantly being seen as trash, it's hard to have people be motivated enough to be human beings when they're only treated like garbage. So yes, she deals with a bunch of brats who are big a-holes, and what they do is not justifiable, but it's understandable given the circumstances. And because she has to choose her battles, and she can't just simply alienate the people she's supposed to protect with her life, she can't just overtly just like rip away the few things that they find joy in, as much as it shouldn't. She doesn't have the luxury of providing alternative methods of them being able to vent their feelings. Now, yeah, it's despicable, deplorable, and not at all worthwhile of any human being to behave in the conduct in which they were behaving. But she's not in a position to toss away garbage when that garbage is the only thing that keeps their people alive. And that's why you feel no remorse for sending your comrade, heck, your countrymen, to die a cruel and meaningless death. I'm gonna strangle you, Yuuya. Maybe you should teach that pack of feral dogs you call subordinates to focus on the self-growth or whatever. They're the ones that should know their place.
麗しいことだな。
I know, right? Oh my gosh. Huh?
確か貴様、アメリカ人だったな。
Sure am.
人類愛か。アメリカは本当に余裕があると見えるな。
Yeah, when you literally... Because that's the thing. What sucks about America is they wear the rest of the world as a shield and protect themselves at all costs. Do you blame them for that? No. It makes absolute sense, and any other nation in their shoes would do the exact same thing. Doesn't mean it doesn't feel like a scum, and doesn't mean I'm a little ashamed that I'm associated with a fictional version of my own country. Don't try to make it sound like a big deal when it's common sense.
いいか、坊や。アメリカの普通は、決して人類共通の普通ではないぞ。
And you're twisting my words. In my time with the XFJ program, I've experienced time and again just how vast the chasm between different cultures can be. Even someone like me, who's never left the US before, understands there's a lot of animosity lurking in the background. Maybe there's a reason for it. Did you think about that?
あの小娘どものことはよく知らんが、中央戦略開発軍団といえば、主にロシア人特権階級で固められた高等機密組織だ。
Wait, the Central Strategic Development Corps?
中でも特殊実験開発部隊に所属することが許されるのは、エリート中のエリートだけ。
SED. Holy crap, the two of them are elites, basically? I had a hunch Chris got any were special, but I had no idea they were held in such high regard.
かたや、最前線で戦う者たちのほとんどは最下層の生まれ。しかも、ロシアの非支配民族ばかりだ。
It's not slavery, but it's about as close as you can get. It's compulsive conscription, and the your status, your bloodline, your nation of origin determines how well you get treated. It's basically racism and slavery all rolled into one beautiful package of maybes and diversions and smoke screens. Subjugated by the Russians.
なんだ、アメリカには民族蔑視や階級差別はないのか？
Oh, eat those words. Eat them good, Yuuya.
そうか。いい国だな。
Yeah, come on, man. Think about it.
自分たちを戦わせておきながら、さっさとアラスカに逃げたロシア人特権階級が、無理難題を押し付けた挙句、目の前を我が物顔で歩き回っていたとしたら、面白いわけがないだろう。
That wasn't just an isolated incident of discrimination, it was the result of decades of ethnic strife built into the foundation of a country playing right before my eyes. Interesting. Almost like your childhood. What a privileged caste making an unreasonable demands of their lessers, demands that could literally get them killed. It's no wonder they're lashing out. One look at what happened during yesterday's operation should be enough for anyone to understand how difficult it is to run field tests with simultaneously fighting the beta, and it's not as hard as when the Soviet upper brass was hell-bent on holding this expedition. But if this entire mission was predicated on using lower caste non-Russians as beta bait... Holy crap. Thank you for finally seeing it! Yeah, think about that. They even the grunts saw that the manipulation was to put them in a situation that was very divisive in order to try and disrupt what was going to happen, literally throwing them to the dogs or the beta. We kept the TSS fighting away from protecting the armored troops. We did that.
振動探知など、総合的に残敵が一定数を下回ったと判断された段階で、大体規模のベータ軍を第二防衛ラインまで意図的に引き込む。諸君はそれを使って存分に実験するといい。それが命令であり、そのために全てを拾うことができないなら、何かを捨てるまでだ。
Those guys were giving absolute orders to stand back and help with our tests. That's why they couldn't advance to support their own people. Far from warm welcome, they've been trying to drive us out since day one, and that's what I would have done too. Their leaders treat them like they're subhuman, and the Russians order them around without a care for their lives, but disobedience was never an option because they're soldiers. Yeah. Thank goodness you're finally seeing at least part of the puzzle, man. All the snide remarks by the Lieutenant Colonel, all the time she treated me like a child, it all makes sense. I understand their anger. Oh, I understand almost too well. Burning rage that cannot be quenched, boiling like magma. That's how someone who's lived their entire life enduring discrimination and has no choice but to continue to obey his tormentors feels. Human nature at work.
あの小娘どもは好き好んでこんな最前線まで来たんだ。だとしたら、ここの流儀に合わせるのが筋だと思うが。
Granted, your customs involve, like, assaults? Not cool. So, no, they shouldn't accept that. But maybe other things, yes.
邪魔をしたな。
Lieutenant Colonel? Are you... Well, are you also from one of those non-Russian ethnic groups?
いや。
What?
私はロシア人だ。
Why do you think she's in command?
先の実証実験の結果に中央は満足していない。同志ベリアーエフ、分かっていると思うが。
Oh, and here's the fallout for disobeying orders and not letting her people die. I don't like how it's implying water torture here.
ああ、承知しているよ。だがね、中央の都合に合わせて全てが進むわけじゃない。それは機関が一番よく知っているだろう。同志ロゴフスキ。私が知っている？どういう意味だ？私がこの遠征に反対したことはもうお忘れかね。こんな設備でまともな結果を出せとはよく言ったものだな。
Oh man, listen to that. Shoddy facilities. Shoddy facilities that you are, like, you and the people of the command can do something about.
覚えているとも。
だが、この遠征は中央の意向。
私が従うべき中央の意向は、この計画の遂行だけだよ、同志ロゴフスキー。資本主義者まがいの売り込みやスパイごっこに興味はないね。
いささか口が過ぎますな、同志ベリャーエフ。
同志サンダーク。中央が君に与えた任務は、実験部隊の運用だったはずだな。私と同志ロゴフスキーの話に首を突っ込むべきではないと思うが。
Wow, so they can all be sitting in the same room and they can actually like deride each other like, oh, why are you opening your mouth? Good grief.
は、失礼しました。
落ち着きたまえ同志ベリャーエフ。貴君の主張も理解できる。だが、いずれも我々に課せられた重要な任務であることに違いはないのだ。
私には関係のないことだよ。やりたいなら機関らで勝手にやればいいだろう。私は自分がやるべきことをやるだけだね。
ぜひそうしたまえ。やれるうちにな。
Well, fetch me. That's a threat.
なんだ。今度は脅すつもりか。
脅す？私がかね。そんなことをして何になる？
何がおかしい。恫喝と監視は政治将校の務めじゃないのかね。
私はそのようなことはしない。ただ、中央は計画の遅延にひどく苛立っている。次の実証実験で相応の結果が出なければ、貴君は研究を取り上げられるだろう。
And in their case, that's like the girls, right? Like the research, it's Kiska and Inya.
私以外にホールネ・ザドミニア計画を進められる者などいるものか。
Pi or is that like that might be a that might be a Russian symbol, I don't know. 3 plan. I wonder if that's alternative 3.
言っただろう、同志ベリャーエフ。それを決めるのは私ではないと。さあ、調整を続けたまえ。貴君が計画を続けられるようにな。
The same day. Dear Royguard
なん
headquarters.
という威力だ。
Oh yeah. So they got the broadcast. They're like, holy crap.
ご覧いただきました通り、姿勢救急型電磁投射法の実践における第1回試射は、成功と申し上げて差し支えないと考えます。撃破数の確定、観測データの分析、実射による損耗の確認など、詳細に関しましては数日頂戴いたしますが、取り急ぎ、数時間前に届きました映像をご覧いただいた次第です。
映像を見る限りではありますが、驚くべき成果です。姿勢救急型電磁投射法の開発継続は、正しかったと断じても良いでしょう。
Again, like I don't know the resources involved with making and supporting this gun on a single TSF, but seeing how effective it was and how only one TSF is necessary, like think about just how insane that is. Like how powerful this is, how game-changing this is.
姿勢救急型法の成果に関しましては、召喚も異論はありません。ですが一つはっきりさせましょう。本件は岩谷中佐の功ではない。演出に惑わされてはなりません。
Colonel Iwaya, sure.
そしてさらに問題なのは、かように凄まじい威力を誇る新兵器を、まるで己の私物であるかのように扱う、岩谷中佐の独断専行です。
Now we're going to see that the consequences of pulling the strings to get the railgun to this battlefield were there's going to be a lot of political fallout, and it's going to lead to a cascade of favors and call in favors and double dealing and back scratching that's going to probably bite everybody in the team in the butt before the end.
九段の実践死者に関しては、しかるべき手順で上申し、正規の認可を得ております。書類に不備でもありましたかな、大友中佐。
It's like it's funny because like I've been doing a lot of like planning because I run personal D&D Pathfinder games in my spare time when I can, and I've been doing some research and I've been writing kind of like an anthology of like a world building I've been doing. And one of the things I've been thinking about lately is like working with devils. Devils are the lawful evil type of creatures. The idea that they're the ones that they make contracts and keep their word. They make a promise, they're going to keep it, but they're the ones that try and put loopholes, fine printing, You know, like you can't just trust what they say up front because there's always a cost. There's always a way that they're going to make you pay for any favors you get that's likely going to exceed what you anticipated being able to offer up. That's exactly what's happening here. Like, Colonel Yuuya had to make deals with the devil, and he's going to have to pay for it now.
貴様の任は XFJ 計画の完遂ではなかったのか。なぜそう欲張る。何が狙いだ。
何度も説明した通り、第一に将来の主力機たる知らぬい新潟による運用試験、第二に技術優勢を支持することより、今後の諸外国及び XFJ 計画における交渉の、
建前はよせ。実践者が目的であれば、佐渡でも長崎でもできる。機密漏洩のリスクもなく、間引きの足しとなれば、幾重にも帝国に利するはずだが。
I mean, you gotta admit, Otomo, he's got a point.
それは否定しない。だが、我が帝国内の公式データに対する諸外国の信用が低いことをご存知が、国際的に公の場において性能を実証することが最も重要なのだ。
Decent screen, but I think it's more of an excuse, not an actual reason.
重要？何のためだ？我が国で使う兵器に諸外国の評価がなぜ必要か。貴様、94式戦術機だけでは飽き足らず、99型砲まで外国に売り渡すつもりではあるまいな。
Again, crap. I don't like his tone, but Otomo's kind of like, I'm kind of on board with him. I'd be bringing up very similar concerns.
覚えているかね、岩谷君。仮にも同盟国領であるアラスカでというならまだしも、仮想敵国領での死者に関しては、この会議では最後まで合意に至らなかったのだぞ。
は、覚えております。
結果的に99型砲のソ連搬入は政府の閣議決定によるものだ。我々は文民統制の原則には従う。つまり表向きは問題ない。だが、その政府決定の裏で糸を引いていたのが横浜の女狐だとしたなら、君、話は別じゃないのかね。
It's a rule of thumb that when people have authority and power, but then they become coerced into doing something they don't want to do, they'll use that power to get back at you somehow. It could be an immediate thing, it could be a years in the making thing. But the vixen of Yokohama, the government doesn't like her. And a big reason why is because A, they need her, and thus it means they can't negotiate with her. And B, she plays with them. They just hate how she just operates essentially outside the structure of the government. She ignores all political parties. She essentially is her own political party, and she refuses to negotiate with any of them beyond getting what she wants in return for little nuggets of stuff. So yeah, like, they hate her, but they mostly can't do anything against her. Granted, they try, and they come up with some pretty scary plans to do so, but, you know, they mostly kick at each other because they can't nowhere else to kick. So anyone who seems to be in line with her, they see as an enemy internally, and they can punish them.
しかし、ソ連に対するGとなったのも事実だろう。こちらの先進性は十分な抑止になる。問題はないのではないか？
いいですか？仮に兵器にせよ何にせよ、ベータに有効な策があったとして、ソ連が全国土を回復するまで数十年はかかるでしょう。そこから国を立て直すとなれば、さらに数十年はかかる。他国を侵略する余裕は全くないと考えますが。
Funny you say that. The day after shows that they don't need to be ready. They'll just do it.
事実我々、帝国海軍としても共同作戦を繰り返すことで、現場レベルでの信頼関係は構築されつつあります。ご存知かと思いますが、地方基地ともなると中央の統制を好まない軍閥化傾向が若干見受けられますので、我々も寄港のたびにロシア式の艦隊を受けています。もっとも、下戸には拷問でしかないのがロシア流の歓迎ですがね。
とんでもない楽観論だ。さすが海軍さんは随分とソ連に甘いようで。手っ取り早く周辺国を配下に収め、経済基盤を確立した後に国土復興を図る方が、はるかに現実的と考えるが。
it's almost right here, but at the same token, wouldn't we do the same? Like, you're sitting here essentially arguing that they'll do what they need for their homeland, thus we need to screw them over for our homeland. You know, it's the whole eye for an eye thing.
だが、ソ連は現在アラスカにある。その場合、アメリカが黙っていないのではないか？
アメリカなど当てにしていては、再び手痛いしっぺ返しを食らいますぞ。自分の国は自らの手で守るという気概をお持ちいただきたい。姿勢救急型砲は人類唯一の軍事用大口径レールガンなのです。先ほどの威力をご覧になってお分かりだと思いますが、あれこそ帝国の至宝と言えましょう。アメリカもソ連も関係ない。諸外国の諜報から絶対死守すべきものなのです。直ちにソ連からの引き上げを愚信します。問題が生じてからでは遅いのです。
I do agree, like, once they had the firing done, I think the first thing they should have done is get it home, because he's right. Like, most people would just be happy it was there, but there's going to be aspects of many organizations in the world who would probably commit horrific war crimes to get their hands on this technology. So why don't you get it home real quick before they have an opportunity?
大友中佐、確か問題と言ったな。
当然あらゆる意味での機密漏洩だ。そして最も危惧すべき事態は、東洋技術によるソ連製電磁投射砲の実用化だ。
なるほど。例の元素に加え、横浜絡みの革新技術を持たないソ連に、救急型砲を再現することはできんだろうな。
That's true, but also kind of hard for the layman of the military to believe.
G 元素は背部の攻略が叶えば入手できる。技術は複製可能だ。貴様一体何を証拠にできないと断じているのだ。
説明を。
はい。電磁投射砲はそれ自体の基礎理論の確立は非常に古く、兵器転用構想はすでに1800年代には存在していました。つまり実用化されていないだけで、概念的にはごくありきたりの古典的兵器と言って差し支えないでしょう。
Alright, so it does sound like they aren't using G elements as much as like for the gravitational effects that they can do, like the effects of like time space that they can do. They mostly are focusing on it as a battery. Because that's like I said, like railguns have been a concept that have been practically used and like proven time and time again, but it's the energy requirements and like the massive generators and battery packs that would be just unreasonable to try and deploy in a battlefield. G element shortcuts that, makes it possible.
実際我が国においても全大戦中に兵器化の研究がなされておりましたが、ご存知のように実用化には至っておりません。その理由は大電力の供給源と砲身やレール構造材の強度が確保できなかったためです。ちなみに小口径の産業用レールガンは80年代後半にはすでに実用化されております。繰り返しになりますが、姿勢救急型の肝は何と言っても機関部。つまり小型で高効率の大電力発電機なのです。
Right.
そして次に重要なのが構造材強度。
Because you need to make it out of materials that are not magnetic, thus they will be resistant to the incredibly powerful magnetic fields you're generating, but also have to be sturdy enough. Like the idea, like iron and steel, like these components are like some of our toughest materials, but they're also highly magnetized. So you have to find alloys that are going to have that like incredible durability, but also are not magnetic, responsive to magnetic fields.
救急型砲においては、その2つともに G 元素が使われております。故にソ連が直ちに電磁投射砲を複製することは不可能であるという結論。大変参考になる話でしたな。確かに知り得る限り、現在のソ連に電磁投射砲の開発が困難なことは認めましょう。ですがやはり岩屋の策は危険だという確信に至りました。
I mean, at the very least, like what if they steal the railgun just to get at the G elements, you know?
よくお考えください。G 元素基礎理論、そしてソ連。これらはすべてアメリカを接点として結ぶことができるのです。
That's true. the United States could foster a method of them acquiring all that.
つまり救急型砲のデータに加え、アメリカによる G 元素の提供さえあれば、米ソいずれであれ、大口径レールガンの実用化は即時可能である。ということなのです。
But why would they assume the United States would allow the Russians to do that? Like, I mean, I could see maybe political intrigue going in on that, but like, yeah, I don't know.
どうやら納得してもらえたようだな。岩谷中佐。
それに、今回のご要望を叶えるにあたってお力添えいただいたお方は、むしろ喜んでいましたよ。ええ、いい実践テストになるとね。
Yeah, Yoroi.
そうですか。情報省のご尽力に感謝いたします。
いえいえ、こういった話は皆が等しく利を得ることが寛容ですからな。もっとも、私はそこに含まれていませんが。ははは。しかし血は争えませんな。お父上同様、戦術機開発に心血を注がれるとは。
Yeah, I'm sure you're not going to manipulate that at all.
父をご存知なのですか？
ははは。冗談がお上手だ。帝国初の国産改造機随閣の開発主査たる高村中佐を知らぬ者が私どもの畑にいるとでも？
そうですね。
お父上のご逝去は帝国にとって重大な損失でした。私たちは実に惜しい方を亡くしたものです。
Generational talent is aka is like one in a generation. Kind of like an Einstein or a Da Vinci. Like a genius that just comes around maybe once 100 years kind of person.
お褒めに預かり光栄です。父も草場の陰で大層喜んでいることと思います。
いや、それにしても実にご立派です。お父上の志を受け継ぎ、帝国の明日を担う興行にご自身も勤しまれる。まさに。
私は決してそのような。
不肖の息子。いえ、違いました。息子のような我が娘に、注意の爪の赤でも煎じて飲ませてやりたいものです。
That's the one thing that I really hate about you, is how you just view your daughter as the son you wish she was and still count her unworthy.
はるばるアラスカまでおいでいただき、心より感謝しております。重ね重ね恐縮ですが、交渉の件、何卒よろしくお願い申し上げます。
お任せください、注意。ソ連にも国連にも融通の利く人間はいます。少なくとも帝国軍のお偉方よりははるかに組みしやすい相手です。
そうであればよいのですが。
何？ノーと言わせないために私が来たのです。
Yeah.
十分な見返りがあると踏めば、相手は必ず動きますよ。必ずね。
Oh, the machinations!
高村注意。こちらをご覧ください。
That's where we're gonna end for today, though. We've kind of like, they're setting the stage where like big stuff happened and now it's all trickling down and we're gonna see how it all falls out. And I'm guessing some pretty insane stuff's about to happen because it's really painting this picture about like everyone's now like, it's like they're all Mexican standoffing, like, oh, who's gonna fire first? What are they gonna do? Who's gonna betray who? It's gonna be nuts. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. But thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me for this fun video. I did a lot of ranting, but at the same time, I feel like it was good contextual stuff to talk about. Yuuya pissed me off, but you know, he's good at that. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Hopefully he'll learn. Hopefully things will play out better and that he won't accidentally get anyone killed before he kind of figures out what he wants, why he fights. Yeah, a lot of stuff to go through. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel. As always, it's a pleasure being able to share these stories with you. It's really, really great to be able to be just a part of a good community, and I'm really grateful for each of you. We've had a few people who signed up and to become new patrons and members of the channel. It's been wonderful to welcome you into the ranks. Their names are added to the list here. We're at, I believe, 14 official lab members. They have their numbers, and they That's the thing. I keep those forever, regardless of whether or not they continue to be directly supportive. So thank you so much for those of you who are supporting the channel directly. It gives me more resources to add to the channel to make it better, to make my recording setup better. It also just helps me know that like I'm doing something right. So I'm glad I'm making enough entertainment that some of you find it worthy to support me like that directly. So thank you. But honestly, thank you for watching. If you're still here, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate your time. I look forward to reading your comments and your likes and all that good stuff because it helps me know that I'm doing things okay. So I appreciate it. And until the next video, watch me up. See me next. I'll see you there.